Well, all right. Week 3 here for Shedeur Sanders playing. Week 2 as a starter for him. I think an interesting performance. Definitely some ups and downs here. Again, it feels like everyone wants to either crown him as as a star player or a bust, when in reality, it's his second start. He's probably not going to show that he's either. The numbers were fine. A passer rating of 93, only to one scoring drive where they got 8, got the most you could in one scoring drive. But ultimately, let's just talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly here for Shedeur Sanders in this game. First, 3rd down and 5. This is probably the worst throw of the game. You see man coverage across the board. Sanders is going to take the snap. It's a 4-man rush, but kind of an exotic pressure. However, the offensive line picked it up perfectly. I mean, there was no pressure here for Shedeur Sanders. Has a completely clean pocket. Judy is wide open. This could be a long touchdown, and you're looking at another, 67-yard touchdown, which could definitely help those stats, which ultimately tend to be what people focus on. Throw just a bit off here. Again, did he think Judy was going to continue running a little bit further down the route, and did he flatten it out a little bit more? I don't think so, but maybe. That's always a possibility. But definitely that's kind of the one you're like, yeah, he would have liked to have that back. We did see this one as well, where what's going to happen here is you see the concept on your screen. You have 3 receivers running routes towards the offense's left. That does appear to be where Shedeur is going to look towards. You see he takes the snap, and as of right here, again, that seems to be the area where he's looking more towards the middle of the field, but ultimately, the way this play has broken down, the read you want to get to is all the way towards the bottom of the screen. That's the ideal situation, because you tend to look more middle to the sideline on these plays. And again, teams would do it differently, but you want to look middle towards the sideline. And just, if you look over the middle, you see that the defenders are covering more over the middle. Then the check down should be open. It's 3rd and 15, so it's not an ideal situation to get a first down. But you don't necessarily need a first down for this to be a good play. You see where you are on the field. It's a windy day. You're at the 36-yard line. If you can gain 6-7 yards, well, that gives you a chance for a field goal here. Instead, though, Sanders just holds onto the football, then tries to do his spin move, which we've seen work in the preseason, but honestly hasn't worked great in the regular season. And it's just not a smart play there. That's just you have to have situational football there. Even throwing an incomplete pass is not the end of the world. Would have liked to see him get through his reads a little bit better. Again, rookie quarterback getting, his second NFL start, all that stuff. But we can still criticize the plays if they're bad plays. And it's a play if you're in the coaching room with Shedeur Sanders, you're telling him, hey, let's try and get through these progressions a little bit quicker on a play like this. Although I also want to go to a play like this one now, because while that did happen, I also thought there was actually more of these types of plays where you see that it's going to be really a pick play on a 2nd down and 10. They're at their own 5-yard line. I think running a play designed to get the ball out of Shedeur Sanders' hands quickly to hopefully, prevent a possibility of a sack in this situation, but also to try and, gain 5 yards here or so, set up a convertible 3rd down. Sanders takes the snap. He's going to look towards the top of the screen, and nothing's open right here. So, again, I criticized him earlier for not getting through his reads quick enough and taking a bad sack. Here, you have to be careful. You're in your own end zone. And he is. Watch, throws that ball away. That's exactly what you should do in that situation. That is good winning football by Shedeur Sanders. And it's also kind of why I'm frustrated watching Browns tape. Because, it just feels like that's a lot of my praises of him is like, oh, wow, he threw the ball away when something wasn't working. And it's just like, well, can some things work? Can we get this to be in a decent situation? So that's not what I have to praise him for? Because, there's then this play, so it's a 3rd down and 10 situation now because they didn't convert the last one. Sanders takes the snap. He's going to look. Again, there is protection. And something I've heard people already bring up is, I think his time to throw was ridiculously long in this game. And just watching that, you can tell. You don't need the numbers for that. But it's also like, yeah, because what's he supposed to do? There isn't anything open. Look here, does he hold on to the ball for too long and ultimately, really get away with what probably should have been intentional grounding on this play? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, that should have been grounding. That's still not the right play. That's still when you're in, when you're in film study with him, you're telling him, hey, you got to be a little bit more careful in these spots. But also, when things aren't, open, sometimes you're going to hold on to the ball for too long. That's just kind of how football works, right? And also, while I'm being critical of the supporting cast, let's continue it with something like this, which I don't even know if I would inherently say is wrong. It's just kind of frustrating when I'm trying to evaluate Shedeur Sanders. So you see, this is a 3rd down and 8 situation. Sanders is going to take the snap, and obvious passing? No, it is a screen, and it works, actually. They get the first down. So, like, you can't criticize it. It was the correct play call. It worked. But, man, it feels like Stefanski just doesn't have trust in Shedeur Sanders. He is not giving him a chance on a lot of these plays, which I get why you want to keep the training wheels on to some degree. But I'm also kind of like, okay, you're kind of running out of time. There's 5 weeks left in the season. You have to see what you have in this guy. I would like to see them, again, I get it to some degree, but I would like to see them take the training wheels off a little bit. Although while I'm doing that, I should praise Stefanski for a really good play call here. Zone coverage concept that the Niners are going to be in. You have 3 receivers. First, the only wide receiver who's lined up towards the left, running a deep shot to try and push the safety and corner further deep. Then the tight end, who is on that side of the field, will kind of go to where hopefully those 2 players now aren't. There's also a halfback to draw in the linebacker over the middle. Watch. Shedeur Sanders takes a snap, and I think because it's a tight end and a halfback, the Niners are not picking up this fully the way they should. You see it right here. I mean, there's just no one who's going to be picking up Harold Fannin Jr. on this play. Watch as Shedeur Sanders navigates the pocket well. Again, good protection up front, able to get forward and pick up a touchdown here. Good stuff here from this entire Browns offense, right? Stefanski's calling the play. You need 3 good routes there. Jerry Jeudy, the halfback, and Fannin all running good route. Sanders navigating the pocket, putting a good throw on the board. Everything worked on that one. This next play isn't necessarily good or bad. It's just interesting to me. 3rd down and 16. They're down 15 points. Kind of need a play here. Shedeur Sanders is going to take the snap. He looks down the field. He's going to, again, look at that pass protection. The pass protection's gotten a lot of criticism this season, basically. It's had some good moments in this game. Here, though, again, got to figure something out because nothing's open. Sanders is going to decide he could run and pick up. Actually, he could throw a check down and pick up like 8 yards or so, create a convertible 4th down, which they probably go for. Instead, he's going to throw one up. Again, we saw this in the Raiders game. That resulted in a big completion and kind of was a big way they were able to help get that win. Here, though, it's going to instead be incomplete. I have no real issue with that. I would also have no real issue if he throws the check down. It's just a stylistic choice, and we're going to see if we get more playing time with him. He'll at least get next week, and we're going to see how much more playing time we get. And by that, I mean, I think he'll get the rest of the season, but will he get more than that is the question. But for whatever we get, we're going to see how well this works out or how well it doesn't. Now, a couple other plays. I do think that Shedeur Sanders, and I don't know how much credit you want to give him for this, he had a very nice kind of, garbage time, you could call it, or once the 49ers really put kind of pump the brakes, I did think Sanders was able to run this offense very well. I know that sounds insulting. I don't mean it to be. He's a young player. Showing that he can pass an easier test is good. You see here, zone coverage, you have a player going to go more over the middle. Watch, Sanders takes a snap. This is open. This is working. There's no issue here. You want to make this throw. You expect your quarterback to make this throw. But Sanders is able to do that. He makes this one. He made another one as well. Made a few, actually, on this drive. Again, not high degree of difficulty plays. Just the 49ers are in what people tend to call a prevent defense. Really, it's just like a softer zone coverage that you see them in. But again, take what the defense is giving you, right? These are good plays. He's running the offense well and doing what he should do. So, yeah, where do we go from here? What is the ultimate takeaway from Shedeur Sanders after this second week? Week 1 really struggled, but was thrown into the fire. Ravens defense loves the blitz, all that stuff. It was difficult. Week 2 looks a lot better. Now, they still threw screen passes 70% of the time, it felt like, but made that one really good splash play, made a couple other nice plays, showing that he's more comfortable there. So now for this game, what's the takeaway? Well, again, there does seem to be some level of comfort. I also do think that he does need to just become a better game manager. He was, in my opinion, he was more of a project quarterback coming out. He needs to get that game management stuff down. But ultimately, even if he does get it down, there isn't really much of a game to be managed right here. I want to see them just kind of give him more of a chance. Because again, I get, strategically, you have a good defense. That's how you want to try and win football games. But ultimately, you're 3-9. You're not making the playoffs. See what you have in your young quarterback. You play the Titans next week. That's a game where you can really see something before you play the Bears, the Bills, the Steelers, and the Bengals, which that might be a little tougher of a stretch. So hopefully they open things up a little bit more next week. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.